Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakhaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam sarvadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamsha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaviriti Davide Rabaste Saraswate Deve Gauravadi Pracharire Nirvishesha Shotivadi Paschat Deshatarire He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Rabo Rabah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vritta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dear devotees, welcome for today's class. I'll just share the screen quickly with you all. We had completed, I think, 15 shloka, but I thought I'll just take a recap also of the 15 shloka so that we are in connection with whatever we are reading. Nasto vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata Ubhayorapi drishto anantas tav anayos tatvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So, who are the seers of the truth, Tattvadarshi people, or the pure devotees of the Lord? They are actually the seers of truth. So now if you see over here, this whole section that will be there from 16th shloka till the 25th shloka, it is going to talk about the vision of seers of truth. So the vision by whose by those who view the world based on scriptures. So even if we want to see the world, we will see the world based on the scriptures only. So the 16th shloka, the 17th, the 20th, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, these all will be these all shlokas will be seen or will be speaking about vision of the seers of truth. So why this, vision of seers of truth? That see, because this particular vision or a clear vision will help us avoid lamentation on bodily platform. So in the COVID, so many people just gave up their lives because of this pandemic, and there were many loved ones also who were given up their bodies. So then lamenting for a long time that they have left us. So then it will help us to avoid excessive lamentation. There has to be lamentation onto a certain level, but we know that, okay, the body is transmigrating from one body to another. So for the soul, there is no death, and there is no endurance for the body also. So Kauravas cannot escape death, even if Arjuna does not kill them. Death was inevitable for them. Whether Arjuna would kill them or not, they would definitely be killed by Krishna. So one can see that no sin is involved in such violence. I was just explaining in my yesterday's class also that if Arjuna is thinking that, okay, killing Bhishma or killing Drona, it will be a very great sin. They are my teachers. They are my, superiors. But then Krishna says that no, there will be no sin involved in such a violence, because this violence is based on the scriptures. This violence is based according to Krishna's instructions. And when Krishna gives instruction, then he sees to it that whoever is killing the other party, then he's not going to incur any sin. So this verse is giving us the vision of seers of truth. So in the beginning of this instruction, Krishna, says to the living entities that those who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. So what is that bewilderment? That the bewilderment is that this material body that is there, which is non-existent. Today it's there, tomorrow it's not there. And since it is and there is no endurance also. So for this eternal soul, then there is no change. For the body, there might be change from youth to boyhood to, old age. But for the eternal soul, there is no change. So Prabhupada in the purport is writing that what is the difference between matter and spirit? What is the difference between the body and the soul? So the body, modern science admits that the body is changing at every moment, minute to minute, the body is changing. And this soul, that is the spirit soul, it is existing permanently. Despite whatever changes are going on in the body and the mind, but the spirit soul remains the same. So, and who all are agreeing to this? All the, all the opinions agree this. Those who are impersonalists, those who are personalist, they all agree to this. And that's why Prabhupada is giving a supporting reference from the Vishnu Purana. And, he's saying that all the self-illuminated spiritual existence that are there, Vishnu and all his abodes have all self-illuminated spiritual existences. So when the word existent and non-existent, they refer only to the spirit and matter. So non-existent is only for matter and existence is for the spirit soul. So those who are under the influence of ignorance, the living entities, they're bewildered, they're identifying themselves with the body, or they're identifying themselves with the mind. And there are Prabhupada says that there are two kinds of ignorances, or you can say misgivings. One is you identify with matter, and the second is very dangerous, identifying oneself as God. That is like the, the most horrible type of ignorance. So then how to remove this ignorance? Then Prabhupada says that you re-establish your lost relationship or your eternal relationship of the worshipper and worshipable. You re-establish your relationship with the Supreme Lord again. And then you have a correct understanding of this duality, like the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and the whole. So the living entity is the part and the Supreme Lord is the whole. And that is why we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's how we remove our ignorance with these two things, that you re-establish and then you correct the understanding of this duality. So understanding the nature of the Supreme Lord, one can understand by thorough study of oneself, the difference between oneself and the Supreme Lord, and the relationship between the part and the whole. So the Supreme Lord also has been accepted as the source of all the emanations in the Vedanta Sutras and in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, that living entities, they belong to a superior nature. So we all living entities, we belong to a superior nature. We are spirit souls, and that is why we belong to a superior nature. Uh, uh, but how have we become inferior by nature? So when we come down over here and we get ourselves entangled in the three modes of material nature, that's how from the spiritual nature, we actually turn ourselves to the material nature. So there is always a difference between the energy and the energetic. The energetic is the Supreme Lord, and the energy or the Prakriti or nature is accepted as the subordinate. Like obviously, the woman is always subordinate to the man. And this is implying that the living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Like you have the master and the servant, the teacher and the taught. So that's how the living entities will always be. So now Prabhupada at the end is giving that, okay, what is the purpose of this Bhagavad Gita? So the purpose of this Bhagavad Gita is to drive away all ignorance and give enlightenment to all the living entities for all times to come. It's not only that, okay, in Kali Yuga, people require this enlightenment. No, this is required even in Satyuga, in Treta Yuga, also in Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. In all the times to come, this particular enlightenment of all living entities is really required. And this is the purpose why again and again Krishna comes to re-establish the religious principles to drive away the ignorance of the living entities. So now from the 17th shloka, you will have all the characteristics of the soul coming up. From 17th till 25th, there are different characteristics of the soul coming up. And maybe you can make a list also of all the characteristics of the soul. Why is it not going? I'm sorry, there's some internet problem on the Google. I don't know what is the problem. I'm not able to. Sushil Prabhu, am I audible now?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, right now you're audible.
But initially I was not audible.
Not to me. Maybe all of her hearing. There must have been problem with me, Mataji.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to figure out.
Mataji, you are audible. Hare Krishna, Atima here.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. अविनाशी तु तद्विधि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्य न कश्चित् कर्तुम् अर्हति. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be the indestructible. no one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So there are two characteristics. One is it is pervading, throughout the entire body, and the soul is imperishable. So, the real nature of the soul is being given over here, that it is spread all around, and it is imperishable. Imperishable means you cannot kill, you cannot burn it, or you cannot, or it does not die. So, eternally an individual that is there, you are a soul, and you are an eternal individual. So you have your own identity, that you are a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And then Krishna is saying that that the soul cannot be killed and the body cannot be saved from death, and therefore Krishna is advising Arjuna that it is avinashi. Therefore, Arjuna should not refrain from, fighting this war. And Krishna is saying this also, that now these Kauravas cannot escape death, even if Arjuna does not want to kill. So, this particular verse is actually, clearly explaining the nature of the soul. And the symptom of the soul is that it has got its own individual consciousness, because this consciousness is spread all over the body. It's not like that only on one part of the body it is spread and the other part is dead. So for example, it was only in the upper part of the body, so legs will not be able to walk. No. So one can experience pains and pleasures all over the body. So if you have pain in your head or on your shoulder, then the whole body experiences. So each and every body is the embodiment of this individual soul, and one cannot perceive the pains and pleasures of somebody else's body. Today you all are sitting over there, I am not able to experience. Somebody must be having an ear problem, or somebody has some pain in the eye, or neither you all are able to experience the pain that I am going through. Okay, that way. Maybe any pain that you have in the body, because there are, some or the other pains might be going on in the body. So then the size of the soul is being given. It is the 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. This is the size of the soul. And this spiritual atom is even smaller than the material atom. So you have atoms in the material, realm, but the soul is even, smaller than that. The size is smaller. And this, this soul is like the spark, and the spark is the basic principle of this material body. So once the spark is out, the material body has no importance. That's why Prabhupada is saying that it explains this measurement of atomic spiritual soul. So it can be perceived by, perfect intelligence. Any person who has intelligence, that person can perceive. And this soul is floating in the 5 kinds of airs, these the 5 types of air, that are prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. So and then where is that? What is the position of the soul? The position of the soul is that it is situated within the heart, and it is spreading its influence all over the body. So the scientists say that because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond, their power of appreciation, they foolishly assert that, okay, there is no soul, because they are not able to see the soul. They are not able to actually interact with it, and they are not able to see even under the microscope. So that is why the scientists are saying that, okay, because we cannot measure the atomic soul, so there is no soul only. So then Prabhupada is saying that when the soul will be purified, when the soul will be purified only from the contamination from 5 kinds of material airs. That is, you have prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. And then when it is purified, then its spiritual influence is exhibited. Now, somebody might ask that how will I, purify these 5 types of kinds of airs? You don't have to do anything. You just have to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, everything will be taken care of. So the influence of the soul all over the body is, the material body. If you take the material body and you minus consciousness, it is equal to a dead body. So Prabhupada is explaining 2 examples that that is an active principle of medicine that is spreading all over the body. Similarly, the current of the spirit soul is also felt all over the body as consciousness. And like the sun, it is pervading, the entire universe and it is maintaining it. So similarly, the light of the soul is also maintaining the entire material body. The moment the consciousness is out, then the body is dead. So in, what Prabhupada is trying to say, that consciousness is not due to any amount of some material combination. And this consciousness cannot be revived by any material administration also. It requires only a spiritual administration. So Prabhupada over there is comparing between the Vedic science and the modern science on the soul, that because the heart is the seat of all the energies of the body, then Vedic science is saying that, okay, individual soul is present in the heart along with the super soul. So in your heart, you have the soul also, and the super soul is also equally sitting. And therefore, all the energies of the body are emanating from the heart. If the heart stops functioning, means what? You're dead. So modern science, it accepts that no, the important of this red corpuscles and the heart as the seat of energies, and it cannot ascertain the source of energy is the soul. So they don't accept basically that, okay, the soul is the energy for the whole body. So that is why only an insane man can, think of this atomic soul as the all pervading, Vishnu Tattva. So Prabhupada is giving an analogy also over there, that all these atomic particles of the spirit soul, they are considered as sunshine molecules. And all these fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are all these atomic sparks, the rays of the Supreme Lord. And that is why they are called Prabha. Prabha means that is the superior energy of the Lord. And when you say, different types of yogas are there, Prabhupada is mentioning about Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga and the purification of the soul. So what is the purpose of Hatha Yoga? Hatha Yoga is actually trying to control all the 5 kinds of air, but not for material benefit, but for the liberation of the soul from this material world. And how it is controlled? Then, you have different postures with Hatha Yoga, different postures you have, and then you control the life air by different sitting postures. So that's how Hatha Yoga is saying that the purification of the soul will be done. But Prabhupada is not encouraging us to do Hatha Yoga. For us, Bhakti Yoga is the only, the ultimate. Through Bhakti Yoga only everything can be achieved. So we'll go to the third one. Sorry, the 18th one, huh? Did I say third one? Hey, Google Chrome has some problem, okay? Just a sec, I'll just open another Google form for myself. No, this is also giving the same problem. Why? I'm sorry, it's giving a problem. I don't know why. My net connection is completely good. What is Mahendra also saying? Okay, Vedabase IO has a problem. Okay. What should I do then?
Mataji, we can see our books, no? Everybody has books.
Okay, just check into your books. And I have one Hindi wala. I'll just read the, what do you say? I beg apologies. This Vedabase is a problem right from yesterday, I feel. I'm taking the Hindi version, okay, dear devotees. I'm sure
Okay,
most of
Mataji.
the devotees understand Hindi. But anyways, I'm just reading the shlokas. I'm not reading anything else. 18 shloka, no? Yeah. Antavanta ime deha nityasukta sharirinam anashino aprameyasya tasmadhyusya svabharata. So he's saying that this particular soul is avinashi, means it is indestructible, aprameya. Okay, so aprameya means you cannot measure it, and it is shashwat. Shashwat means eternal. Okay, and जीव के भौतिक शरीर का अंत अवश्य भावी है. So there is definitely a destruction of this, and that is why Krishna is encouraging Arjuna that you fight because that's your duty to fight. So in this particular text, Krishna is saying that this body is perishable by nature, and whether 10 years, 20 years, or 100 years, it has to perish. It's not like that it's going to return, it's going to remain eternal. Like, in Egypt, they have these mummies and they preserve those mummies. And so then what is the basis of acquiring these material bodies? So one will acquire a material body only according to one's work, whatever work he's doing. So the practical application of this would be that when you are observing some religious principles, they should be utilized to elevate us, because if one acquires this body according to one's work, so if you do not want another body, then you have to work towards not getting another body. And that is why Krishna is saying that the soul is indestructible, avinashi. The soul is very minute, to be seen by even the enemy. Then what to speak of it being killed. So, and the soul is, immeasurable. It cannot be measured. It is very too small to be measured. But the measurement was given in the previous shloka just for our, better understanding. So, this verse, how is it helping Arjuna to overcome his compassion and lamentation? So he's saying that, okay, living entity cannot be killed only. And material body cannot be saved for any length of time. It one day or the other, if Bhishma and Drona, if they are not killed today, but tomorrow or in the future, they are going to die. Okay, for sure they will be dying. Though even Bhishma has got Ichha Mrityu Vardhan, but still he also has to die. So the spirit soul is important then, and not the body. So as soon as the spirit soul comes out of the body, then this body will start to decompose. And that is why the living entity is qualified as a light, because it is a part and parcel of the supreme light. So that is why Arjuna is being, advised to fight over here, because not sacrificing this cause of religion for this material bodily considerations. So Arjuna is seeing everything on bodily considerations, that okay, these are my superiors, these are my relatives, these are those people who have guided me and who have loved me so much. But because they have done adharma or have gone against the codes of religious principle, and that's why they need to be killed. So this is the 18th text what Krishna is trying to say. I'm sure everybody has their okay, Sucharita has some nice idea that can you ask someone to share screen by making him or her co-host? Who is on the laptop?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I'm not, but I can log in 2 minutes. I'll just do that.
Yeah, you log in the meantime. I'll just take the next shloka. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, 18 has come now. I hope 19. Oh, 19 has come up now. Very funny, this Veda base is behaving. Ye enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhav na vigyanito nayam hanti na hanyate. If you see the word to word meanings, you very easily it is hantaram, the killer, or hatam, or killed, or hanyate, is killed, all these Sanskrit word, or hanti, kills. So, or vigyanitaha, knowledge. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays, not nor is the slain. So, Prabhupada over here is saying that, yeah, I think everybody has a Bhagavad Gita book in their hands while they are studying, for sure. Right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So, in this 19th text, Krishna is repeating the same points of the body and the soul from different angles, in this verse. The soul cannot be killed, nor it is killed. Then nobody can slay it. Those who have knowledge, they know that this soul cannot be slain because the self slays, not is slain. So the living entity is never killed. when the body is hurt by weapons also, the soul is too small to be killed by any material weapon. And uh, uh, nor is this living entity even, killable, you can say, because of spiritual constitution. So that is why the soul is immortal. So immortality of the soul does not encourage killing of the body. So you can say that immortality of the soul is not encouraging animal slaughter. Oh, soul is not kill. I can kill many animals. Go on killing animals and do abominable acts. Because killing of this body without any authoritative basis is abominable. If it is not in the Shastras and then you go around killing, then it is not valid. So Arjuna is justifying killing because Arjuna was engaged in killing for the principle of religion, and he's not whimsically actually going to kill people. On Krishna's order, he is going to kill, and that's why it's not going to incur and loss. And he's killing based on the authorities. He's not going to kill whimsically. So this is what is being said in this particular shloka. The 20th shloka is a very interesting shloka. Hopefully the 20th shloka has come up. Na jayatre mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitava na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So he says that for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So these are again characteristics of the soul. Soul neither birth nor death. It is unborn, avinashi hai, ajanma hai. Okay, so it is clearly delineating the eternality of the soul. So if you see this verse is like, you can say that you're quoting Shastras to support Krishna's opinion. Because in the Katha Upanishad also there is another, same this where only the difference is Vipaschita is coming. So for the soul, there is no birth, no death. It does not come into being. It has not come into being and will not come into being. Past, present, and future. And the soul is unborn. Soul is eternal. It is ever existing, and it is primeval. So there are many, many questions which people have about the soul, and Krishna is completely understanding, because if Krishna is saying that, we are not the bodies, we are the soul, then there has to be some substantial backup or reasoning given that, okay, then what is this soul? Some people look it as an astonishment. Some people look it as, something very weird. So what is the soul? So Krishna very elaborately is explaining Arjuna that don't lament. And these are the characteristics of the soul. That's why you don't have to lament. Why? Because soul is steady and the body is temporary. Soul will always remain the same. Body will go under 6 changes, but the soul does not go those 6 types of changes. Or you can say transformations, that it will grow, it will have its sustenance, it will have its byproducts, it will dwindle and it will die. So that is why Krishna is saying kutastha. Steadiness it is implying only to the soul, and the soul does not undergo these 6 changes. Body will undergo these 6 types of changes, but the soul will not go. And what is the practical proof that the soul never becomes old? Then, this old man has the same spirit as a young man. So in matters of eating, mating, sleeping, the same, spirit he has. It's not like that, okay, he will not have that same spirit like a young man has. So this perception of the soul by this consciousness as the symptom, where, Prabhupada is giving an analogy that the sun is covered by the cloud. And what is the symptom? That yes, when you have light, you're seeing light. So the light is the symptom that yes, it is daytime. And because the sun is still existing and the sun is still there and there is light, that is why it is daytime. So in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about two kinds of soul. One is the Anu and one is the Vibhu. One is the infinitesimal and one is the infinite. So Anu means we are the Anu. Anu means small and Vibhu means, infinite. So Krishna is Vibhu. That is why, we call it Vibhu Krishna, like that. So we are Anu and Krishna is Vibhu. And the difference between the consciousness of the soul and the Supreme is that I do not know my past and I do not know my future. I only know what's happening in the present tense. Okay. And I'm prone to forget also things. I am prone to forgetfulness. Like, for example, if I ask somebody 1 week before on Saturday, what did you eat for breakfast? He'll forget, he won't remember. Or maybe in your past life, what were you? He will not be able to tell. 20 years before, same time, same date, what did you do? He does not remember. So that is why he is prone to forgetfulness. So Krishna knows the past, present, and future of every living entity. He has a minute-to-minute record of what this living entity did at this particular time. So that's why he knows the past, present, and future. And in the 4th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that I remember all your births, but you do not remember your previous births at all. So the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva, or the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna, is exactly like Krishna is the fountainhead or the super soul, and Arjuna is the atomic soul. Because he is forgetful of his real nature, and I'm subordinate to Krishna, I'm the servant to Krishna. And therefore, the living entity or Arjuna needs enlightenment by Krishna. So then Prabhupada is telling that who will understand these glories of the soul? Prabhupada is saying glories of the soul. So in the Katha Upanishad, it is saying that there are two qualifications required to understand the glories of the soul. One is that person is free from material desires, and second is he is free from lamentation. By whose grace? By the grace of the Supreme Lord. Only those people can understand the glories of the soul. So one has to be free from material desires. They say that the desires are only when you desire, then those many bodies you will have to take. So desire is the root cause for taking a rebirths of that particular soul again and again and again into material body. So those who are learned, and then Prabhupada is telling that, okay, the same shloka is there in Katha Upanishad also. There is a word called Vipaschita. Vipaschita means those who are learned and those who are with knowledge. Those people can only understand that what are the glories of the soul. And those people can, free themselves from this material desires and lamentation. So you can cut ignorance only with the sword of knowledge. So, like for example, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we all were in ignorance. I mean, I didn't even know that I am not the body, I am the soul. I didn't even have that basic knowledge also. Whereas everybody has this basic knowledge, but means the ignorance level was so high that for me, I never even thought that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. Only by reading Prabhupada's books, The first book that I had got was in 1990, Krishna, the Reservoir of Pleasure. And over there, again and again, it's been told that, you have a connection with Krishna, you have a connection with Krishna. So then when you get knowledge from a pure soul, then, we can get free from our material desires. And that is why there is so much of emphasis laid on Shravanam, on hearing. And the more you hear, the more you get that knowledge and you come out of that phase of ignorance. And, I'm not saying that you become very learned, but at least that much knowledge is required to come out from this precarious condition of identifying with the body. Give me 1 minute. Okay, the sound was not so great. Okay, I'll just go to next. We'll come back to the next shloka, I mean 21st shloka, because this is a reeling. Yeah, you just share the screen, I'll make you the co-host. There are two Juhis. Which Juhi should I make the co-host?
I don't know, Mataji, how it is shown the like that.
Yeah, I'll just make this one, make the co-host. Okay. Yeah.
The one I spoke is the mobile.
Oh, the other one. Okay. Yeah. Just share the screen with me, Mataji.
Mataji, can you see?
Yeah, we all can see.
Is that the right screen coming? No.
Yeah, we are able to see the screen.
Yes, okay. You got the right ones now?
Yeah.
Can
So
see.
you go to the settings over here and you
Yes, ma'am.
increase the whole font.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Go to settings.
Is this better?
Yeah. Yeah. Scroll down. So this is 20th. We have to go to the 21st shloka.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah. Veda vinashinam nityam ya enamajam avyayam katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Translation. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So, this is very nice. Actually, Prabhupada is going to say that. He say when Prabhupada, if you see one of the 4 principles, Prabhupada is saying that utility is the principle. So, if you properly utilize everything in the knowledge, or you utilize everything as, what do you say? You utilize it properly, then he says that a person who knows the soul is indestructible, it is eternal, it is unborn, it is immutable, and it cannot cause anyone to kill, or it is not being killed by anyone, then such a person has full knowledge. And the main theme over here is that the soul can never be killed, whether by weapon or by any Krishna, by any means. So over here, Prabhupada is saying that even this violence that is there, it has proper utility under authority. Because if you do violence under the guidance of a proper authority, then it will not incur any sinful reaction. Because what is the criteria to use, violence is that killing the body of anyone without any authoritative, instructions is abominable, and it is punishable also by the law. And that is against the law of the Lord also. So Prabhupada says that he says that if a man, he knows or he has full knowledge how and where to apply a particular thing, or how to utilize that particular thing, then that is the proper utility. For example, justice for peace. Okay. And then he's giving an example in the Kathopanishad. Manu Samhita is saying that, okay, Krishna is fighting for justice for peace because there is no peace, and that is why he's fighting, and he's asking Arjuna also to fight. So he gives an example over there, that surgeon's knife that is there, the proper use that of a surgeon's knife is to save a particular person's life. But that same knife, if it is there in the hand of a thief, that same knife, it is there in the hand of a thief, then that is not authorized. That is not authorized by the law of the Lord. But the knife in the surgeon's hand is to save a life. If he performs that operation with that knife, then that particular person is being saved. So how to justify, Arjuna's use of violence? He was killing for the principle of religion. He was not killing whimsically. And he was, killing, or he was actually killing on the orders of Krishna. So when Krishna orders violence, then it is for supreme justice. And for administration of justice, then, violence is permitted, because anyways, the soul cannot be, killed. The soul cannot be burnt or cannot be withered away. So this is what is being said in text number 21. Next text, 22. Yeah, this is also very nice. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani granati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyamti navani dehi. Translation. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones. So, nobody laments for the older garments given up. So, for example, Krishna is giving an analogy of this clothes, that for the soul, death is simply, a change of clothes. And for example, you give up your old clothes, do we lament, or do we start crying, okay, I've given up my old clothes, they were torn, tattered, and they're just being disposed of? No, nobody, laments or cries for that. So Krishna is rebuking Arjuna. It's a lamentation that, okay, Bhishma and Drona will lose their current bodies. And for them, these current bodies are a source of enjoyment. But Krishna is establishing that they will get fresh bodies. They can enjoy more better in those fresh bodies. From childhood to youth to old age, again they're going to enjoy anyways. They're going to enjoy with that new body. So this modern scientists have their opinions on change of body. So they accept that, okay, the continuous changes of the bodies are there from boyhood to childhood to youth to old age. And they accept also the heart as the source of energies. And they say also, okay, but they do not accept that there is a soul. There is something existing like a soul. So modern scientists do not accept that, So how this transference of atomic soul to another body is made possible? It is made possible. Like, for example, today, if I want to transfer somebody's soul into another body, can I do that? Is it possible for me? No, it is not possible for me. It is only possible by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And whatever you have, your desires and your past deeds, so the super soul will fill the desires of that soul like a friend. So Prabhupada is giving that analogy of the Mundaka Upanishad and the Shvetar Upanishad, that there is the soul and the super soul, and they're compared to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. So when they're sitting on the same tree, one bird is busy eating the fruits, and the other bird is only witnessing what the first bird is doing. So the first bird is the Jivatma, or the living entity, and the second bird is the Supreme Lord, or the Paramatma in the heart of that particular person. So the functions of the Paramatma are two functions. He actually only witnesses Upadeksha and Anumanta. Upadeksha means he's just seeing. Okay, even if you murder somebody, he's just seeing. You are cheating somebody, he's just seeing. He won't control you, or he won't rebuke you. He will just be observing you. He will just be seeing. And Anumanta means giving permission. Okay, you want to murder somebody, murder somebody. You want to cheat somebody, cheat somebody. But at the same time, if a living entity turns towards Krishna, like for example, I was explaining these slokas yesterday, I was explaining in my Hindi class. Unfortunately, I did not take the recording of those classes. I forgot to put it on recording. So if you have this is your face and this is Krishna's face. So currently what has happened is, with the living entities, their face is not towards Krishna, their back is towards Krishna. And that is why they have to suffer. But the moment the living entity turns his face towards Krishna, the living will understand that, okay, what is my relationship with Krishna? And I had forgotten. And this forgetfulness of this master and servant relationship, will be revived again. And because he's so busy eating those fruits, that bird or the living entity, he is not, lifting up his head also and seeing who's next to me. The super soul, with whom I have a permanent connection, he is, he's sitting next to me. So, and though, these two birds, they are friends, but still, one of the bird is the master, Krishna is the master, and the living entity is the servant. So, if I want to become free from all these lamentations or bewilderment or confusions, then I have to voluntarily surrender unto this master bird or unto Krishna and the supreme, spiritual master, who is Krishna himself. Till the time I do not surrender to the spiritual master, the supreme spiritual master, then I'll always be in anxiety. I will always be in confusion. I'll always be in a limitation. But If somehow I turn my face towards Krishna and I know that, okay, these are his glories, at once I will become free from all anxieties. So if you see, when with Arjuna, when Krishna had left this earth planet and gone back to his abode, Arjuna was, in lamentation that I will not be able to see my friend again. I will not be able to talk to him. And so many of wonderful times we have spent together. But then as soon as Arjuna remembers the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, immediately all his lamentation vanishes away. Yeah, all his, that is why you see when people die, they read the Bhagavad Gita. Why? They read the Bhagavad Gita so that those who are lamenting in and around you, at least they become cool and they become calm, they become pacified, understanding that, okay, this particular person's soul has come out from the body, but he's going to get a new body. And that is why they read the Bhagavad Gita, so that at least for that time, they will come out from their lamentation. So this verse is helping Arjuna to overcome his lamentation and his material compassion for his relatives. So Arjuna should be happy to kill the bodies of his grandfather and teacher, because it is a very righteous fight. It is based on, dharma. And when he's going to fight and he's going to, kill the bodies of his grandfather, they will also be cleansed of all their reactions and get a fresh body. But because any Kshatriya who leaves his body on the battlefield, it is said that he gets a higher planetary system. He's promoted to a better status of life, either in Svargaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. So one who lays down his life in the battlefield, immediately, is cleansed of all these bodily reactions and is promoted to the heavenly planets. So this is what has been said in this 22nd shloka. Next. This is also another good shloka. These are all memorizing verses in your Bhagavad Gita. Nenam chindanti shastrani, nenam dahati pavaka, na chenam kledayante apo, na shoshati maruta. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So, again, another, characteristics of the soul that are there, that the soul is never killed, the soul can never be burnt, it cannot be drowned, it cannot be, submerged, or it cannot be been buried. So if you see now from all this 23rd shloka, 24th, 25th, all these qualities of the soul are mentioned. So this is actually the common theme, that this soul that is there, it is the atomic part of the whole, and the soul is not, you cannot break the soul, you cannot cut the soul, you cannot moisten the soul, you cannot bury the soul, you cannot dry the soul, you cannot burn the soul, you cannot wither the soul by wind. You have too much of wind and you pass wind and you just vanish away. So this soul is eternal. It is the same. It is everlasting. It is present everywhere. It is unchangeable and it is immovable also. So there are, different kinds of weapons. In the previous ages, they had that all these weapons cannot affect the soul, because on the battlefield, if I want that there should be, torrents of rain, then I have a weapon that I will shoot and then there'll be only rain. Or I will shoot an arrow and then there will be fire only all on the battlefield. Or there'll be continuously wind or, huge sounds. But none of these weapons can, wither the soul. Or any even nuclear weapons also. Prabhupada is talking about even, fire weapons or nuclear weapons also cannot destroy the soul. And so this correct understanding of this position of the soul is that it is, the soul is eternal and it is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. It is a separated part of the Supreme Lord. It is not merging into the Supreme Lord, but it is a separate. So being atomically individual, souls are eternal, and that is why they are prone to illusionary energy. And that is why, because the soul is prone to illusionary energy, and that is why it becomes separated from the Supreme Lord. Like, in Diwali, you have, that fuljadi. So like how, sparks of fire, they come up, but they are one in quality, but then they are prone to be even extinguished without that fire. Of course, whenever, that spark comes out from that fuljadi, what happens? It extinguishes, right? So living entities are eternally, separated part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So what is Krishna trying to say? That Arjuna will become liberated by, this particular knowledge. When he receives this knowledge of the soul from Krishna, and he will not become one with Krishna. This is the main, philosophy, that application, what, Prabhupada wants to say, that Arjuna became liberated by this knowledge received by Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. We cannot become one with Krishna. And we try to serve Krishna. In Hindi, they say that leen ho gaye, Bhagwan mein leen ho gaye. No, they will actually eventually reach to the lotus feet of Krishna and they will serve Krishna, because the part is supposed to serve the whole. The part is not supposed to merge in the whole. So this is what is being said in this 23rd shloka, 24th shloka. We'll move on to. Yeah, you'll have to take it a little down. Achedyo ayam adhayo ayam akledyo shoshaya evacha nitya sarvagata sthanu achalo ayam sanatana. The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can neither be burnt or dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So again, Prabhupada is giving the qualifications of the soul, and it is the spirit whole, and it remains the same atom eternally. It's not going to change. And what is being established in this verse by this qualities of the soul, that this individual soul is eternal, eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole, eternal. Okay, it will not go to change. Ye nahi hai ki okay, after few years they will depart, or they will separate out. No. And the soul will always remain the atom eternally without any change. So there is this word sarvagata. Sarvagata means all pervading. So why? Because the God's creation is present all over, and it is present in water, air, land, fire, everywhere. So the soul cannot be sterilized by fire, or the soul cannot be burned by fire. And there are living entities who are present in the sun also with some suitable bodies. So is it that those living entities or living beings are burnt by the fire of the sun god? No, they are not being burned. So the soul is still existing. So there is this monistic theory over here of Mayavadi's monistic theory and Mayavad theory that is there, that spirit soul is insoluble, that it can never merge into the impersonal Brahman, but always remains unchangeable, and it is always an eternal individual. So the atomic soul may, prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the Brahma Jyoti, and that is called impersonal liberation. So if that atomic spark, he remains in the as a spiritual spark in Brahma Jyoti, what happens is that Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence coming from the Lord's body. He remains for thousands and thousands of years, but he has no activity over there. Like the very nature of the soul is to be active. Right now also we are sitting over here. My hands are moving, my legs are moving, my eyes are blinking. And it's the same with y'all also. Though the soul's very nature is to be active. But to put a soul in an inactive state, he will become very frustrated in the Brahma Jyoti. It's exactly like that you have one room been given to you, which has no windows and no fan, nothing. It has only 4 walls, and you are locked in that wall and you don't have to do anything over there. How will you feel? The same feeling is in Brahma Jyoti, that you don't have to do anything. It is without activity. So nobody would like to go in such a place for thousands and thousands of years. Until unless somebody like Narad Muni or some pure devotee will come and enlighten that soul out of his compassion, then he'll be liberated. Then he'll come out from that precarious condition. But that is very rare. Because it is the desire of the soul only to remain in the Brahma Jyoti. It is not by the desire of the Lord that living entity is in the Brahma Jyoti. So this is the explanation of this shloka, 25th shloka. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryo yam uchyate tasmadevam vidit vainam nanu sochi tum arhasi. Translation. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So again, another more characteristic: invisible, inconceivable, immutable. So the soul is actually beyond the range of our ordinary perception. It cannot be understood by direct empiric methods alone. And that is why we have to understand the soul on the basis of Vedic wisdom. So if the soul is invisible, then the soul is too small to be seen by even the most powerful microscope. If the soul is inconceivable, nobody can establish the existence of the soul by any human, experimental endeavors. Or the only source of understanding is by Shruti, the Vedic wisdom. So if the soul is immutable also, immutable means what? It is establishing the stability of this conception of the soul. So stability means what? It does not change like matter changes. And it never becomes God. Soul can never become God. So never changes like matter means what? That Sucharita, you are on unmute. Please mute yourself. Mute yourself. So the soul never becomes God, because the soul will always remain atomic to this infinite Supreme Lord, and it will always remain subordinate to the Supreme Lord. And if I want to know the existence, of my own father, then, it is based on the words or the authority of the mother. Only the mother will be able to tell who the father is. So the Vedas are like a mother, and only the mother can tell who the father is. And the father is Krishna. So only the Vedas tell us this. Okay, next shloka. अथ चैन्यं नित्यजातं नित्य वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुम् अर्हसि. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. So Krishna is telling that why do you want to lament still for the the changing, even if you reject, okay, the soul does not exist, still you have no cause for lamentation, because Krishna is telling that, okay, even, if you're rejecting, you don't have, to lament at all. Why? Because the soul does not change at all. Only the body keeps on changing, and they will get new bodies. So many philosophers, that are there, and who even, existed at the time of Krishna also. There were philosophers like Buddha, or this Lokayatikas, or Vaibhav Shikas, all these, all these modern scientists, material philosophers, all these, the science of anthropology, they all have been, they have not been successful in identifying the, origin of the soul and the existence of the soul. So again, this particular, verse is telling Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, see, there is no cause for lamentation. Why? Because this body anyways is a bag of chemicals. So why are you lamenting? And also, if there is no rebirth, so, okay, there is no fear of sinful reactions also. If the soul is not reborn again, then again, still you are in an advantage. Why? Because there is no fear of sinful reactions for you. And he's calling, Krishna, he's calling Arjuna that, oh, you're Mahabaho. It is like a sarcasm to Arjuna, because since Arjuna is an Aryan, and an Aryan is supposed to fight, and an Aryan is supposed to be knowledgeable in Vedic wisdom, and it is not expected from an Aryan, because, such philosophies will just leave aside this Vedic wisdom. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that don't lament at all, because anyways, this body is only a bag of chemicals, and there is no rebirth for the soul. So this is what is being said in this particular shloka. Jatasya hi dhruva mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad aparihar haryat arthe natam shochitum arhasi. Everywhere, now you see in these slokas, arhasi word is come, does not deserve. So one who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Arjuna was, bewildered, he was lamenting, he was confused, and he was escaping his duty to fight. That is why Krishna is telling that, see, there is nothing to lament for you. You don't need to, lament at all. So, this shloka is saying that in Karmavad, there is that one has to take birth according to one's activities in his past life. So even I have taken birth according to whatever activities I have done in my past life. And whatever I will be doing in this lifetime also, again, I have to suffer for those reactions and take another birth. So uh, uh, death generates no loss because it's a very natural event. And if I'm one has to take birth according to his activities in his past life, then what is the cause of lamentation? It is just based on illusionary bodily concept of life. So don't lament. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that okay, unnecessary violence is not encouraged. Why? Because the cycle of birth and death does not support unnecessary slaughter, murder, and war. So if it is backed up by Shastras, then that war is okay, violence is okay. But violence is an inevitable factor. Why? Because the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors for law and order. So Krishna is promoting violence and war for to establish dharma or the religious principles. So that is why the battle of Kurukshetra is an inevitable event by the will of the Supreme Lord. It is inevitable. Whether they fight, they don't fight, whether Arjuna fights, does not fight, the battle is still going to take place. And still the Pandavas are going to win that war. So in Arjuna's case, this particular shloka is saying that Krishna is saying that, see, you don't need to fear the death of your relatives because, fighting war is a proper duty of a Kshatriya. And there is no need to fear this sinful reaction because he does not need to, break the law. Because you are carrying out my instructions, Arjuna. So it is my will and it is my desire that this war happen. Though Krishna had gone as a peace messenger before, but Duryodhana refused to give even the land equivalent to the tip of a needle. So that is why then Krishna thought that yes, in Bhagavatam also, it is said that Krishna wanted that Yudhishthir become the king of the whole earth planet because the Pandavas are the family of devotees. And the family of the devotees always act according to the instructions of the Supreme Lord. And that is why Krishna wanted to establish Yudhishthir Maharaj on that throne so that the whole world will get a righteous king who will be ruling that whole earth planet, and all his citizens will be benefited from that ruling of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Because till now Duryodhana and party or Dhritarashtra and party, they were ruling, but they did not do anything substantial for the citizens. But now Krishna wanted to re-establish, and that's where this war is happening. So let's go to the next. अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्ता मध्यानि भारत अव्यक्त निधनानि एव तत्र का परिवेदना है, sorry. Yeah, it is paridevana hai. Okay, it is paridevana. Okay. All created beings are manifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? See, again and again Krishna is telling Arjuna that why are you lamenting? Because if there is death, there is no loss, irrespective of if all the created living beings are unmanifest in their beginning, or they are manifest in the interim state, or they become unmanifest again when annihilated. So we also know that when there is annihilation, of this cosmic manifestation, all the living entities, they enter into Mahavishnu. And then again, when there is creation, all these living entities, they go into a dormant state when they enter into Lord Vishnu's body, and then they again come out, and then they become activated. But whatever their past misdeeds are there, that they have to suffer for. Whatever are their desires, for that they have to strive for. But if they desire that I want to, serve the Supreme Lord, then they are liberated. So Prabhupada is establishing that this loss of body is never a cause of lamentation. Whether you accept this existence of soul or not, and if you do not accept the existence of the soul, then still the body is changing from an unmanifest state to a manifest state, and again to an unmanifest state. This, transitions it will take only. So this conservation of energy and matter is, maintained, and that is why you don't need to lament at all. Like Prabhupada is giving an analogy over here of the skyscraper. The skyscraper, all that material that is required to make that skyscraper, it is manifesting from earth, water, air, fire, ether. And again, when it is annihilated or that skyscraper falls down, again it will go back into the earth. So if you accept this body, the body is like a dress or like a dream. Like in the dream, people are flying in the sky or sitting on the chariot as a king. So nobody laments for the change of the dress or situations of a dream, right? So the death is exactly like, it's like a dream, but again, that person is going to take another body and he's still going to get a new body. So that is why the Vedas enjoin that, to go in for self-realization on the basis of this non-existence of this material body. Bodies keep on changing. But if you want to go in for this self-realization, then we have to understand that the soul is permanent and the soul is everlasting. The soul will not change. The soul will not go through many changes at all. How the body goes through, the soul does not forget. The soul, forgets. The super soul does not forget. That way. Next shloka. This is a very amazing word. Ascharyavat pashyanti kaschit enam acharyavad vadati tathaiva chanyah ascharyavat chenam anya shrunoti shrutavya. No, I still have not read the last line. Shrutvapyena vedana chaiva kaschitah. Yeah, translation. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. It is a mystery for others to understand the soul. So, there are different types of people who understand the soul and they find it very amazing. So, Krishna is saying that there is no distinct, soul, and it's merely only the creation of these, grouping philosophers whose, minds are insufficient, they're bewildered, and they find that the soul is amazing. So some look on the soul as amazing, some describe it as amazing, some hear about it as amazing. And even after hearing about the soul so many times, there are many who cannot understand the soul at all. So there are different types of people who misunderstand the soul and find it very much amazing. But Prabhupada says that the easiest process of understanding the soul is that we accept Bhagavad Gita given by the Supreme Lord. And for that, it requires great penance and sacrifice. Penance yani kya? आप austerity कर रहे हो, and sacrifice to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personal Godhead. And it is only possible by the causeless mercy of the Lord. That is why in the beginning, if you see, Prabhupada writes in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita that at least theoretically somebody should assume that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then as and when you keep on reading the Bhagavad Gita, then you will be convinced slowly and steadily. So to understand this soul, then there is penance required, and then there is sacrifice required. This is what Prabhupada is saying. And then this subject of the soul is also too subtle to be understood by anybody who has very poor fund of knowledge. And that person who is not austere or who has not done penances, that person can never understand the soul. So someone who accept the soul, but they are misguided as the acceptance of the soul, super soul, they can be equal in magnitude. So that is a misleading thing. That is why we need to understand every word from the Bhagavad Gita, that what does it mean. And till now also many times people do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People might be chanting, people might be initiated, but still to accept Krishna as the Supreme, there is some amount of austerity required. Not many people, even after initiation, they accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Why? Because that false ego comes in between, that how can somebody be supreme to me? I am the supreme person. I am the supreme most. I have something. That false ego that is there, that is a big covering between them and Krishna. But the day that false ego covering turns to a true ego covering. True ego is what? I'm a servant of Krishna. That's my true ego. True ego is that I am a servant of Krishna. I have to serve him. I have to love him. I have to live for his pleasure. I have to abide by what his instructions are. That is true ego. But currently what has happened is that our false ego does not allow us to accept Krishna as the Supreme Person. And that is why every day morning we are training our minds by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to come to this point that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, I have a connection with him. I am Anu. He is Vibhu. I am a servant. He is a master. And he's not only my master, he's the master of, millions and millions of souls all around the universe. And not only of one universe, millions of universes. So to come to this point, it requires a lot of dedication and it requires a lot of sacrifice. Next shloka. Dehi nityam avadhyo ayam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani na tam shochitum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, one who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Again, grief, lamentation, these are all synonyms. So now actually, Krishna is concluding this Jnana section. This whole Jnana section was Jnana about the soul, the knowledge of the soul. So actually, the soul is indestructible living entity within this particular body. And therefore, there is no need of lamentation for Arjuna. So, there are 4 points to this, purport. If you see that, what is the identity of the living entity, the difference between body and soul, and when is justice violent, when is violence justified, and immortality is not encouraging some whimsical violence. So violence must be justified in the terms of the sanction of the Lord and not, just precariously. So as a Kshatriya, Arjuna should not abandon his prescribed duties. out of fear of his grandfather and teacher that will die in the battlefield. He has to just do his duty as a Kshatriya. And this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna, that you please do it as a duty. You are a Kshatriya, you are an Aryan, you're supposed to fight. And further also Krishna will tell Arjuna that you are fighting on my behalf. I am giving you the orders, and that is why you're not going to incur any sins at all. So the next, section that will be coming is from 31st shloka. Then, Krishna is going to speak about karma kanda. On the base. So over here in this section, from 11 to 30th, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight on the basis of Gyan of the soul. Now Krishna will tell Arjuna to fight on the basis of karma kanda by performing prescribed duty, and you will be able to gain material enjoyment. So very important this section is. I mean, there may many doubts you all might have. The Hindi section had many doubts for this particular karma kanda section. So maybe you all can also get it solved. Any questions? I just rest my speech over here. Any questions, any queries you all have, you all can ask me.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Okay, see, we spoke about soul, right? Soul is eternal and all the characteristics of soul. My question, I don't know whether it is pertaining to this, but I always have this curious mind about this particular thing, that we say, the moment a person leaves the body, the soul takes another form, right?
Yes.
Now what happens is, what I want to know is, our ancestors, right? For example, my father, he passed away, my husband passed away. So I believe somewhere down the line, they have taken some form. Okay. But then I want to know that how do they give us blessings then? Because we say na, apne ancestors, apne baap dada purkho ka आशीर्वाद होना बहुत जरूरी है. So my personal feel is that when my father passed away, he was with me for 6 months. He was in tremendous problem, physical problem. He was down with 4 stage of cancer. So before passing, he was with me, with my family. And, he gave a lot of blessings to us. But somewhere down the line, from last 7 years, after my father passed away, everything is gone for a toss. Full, my life, everybody, we all brother, sister, we are 3 siblings, and my mother, we are facing a lot of material problems. So my question is, from how do we take it that we are getting the blessing? How? I mean, I don't know how, my question is whether appropriate or no, but
No, it is an appropriate question, Mataji. This question, many of you all, even the Hindi batch, they also had one of these questions. Do you mind, you can just stop sharing the screen? Yeah, thank you so much. So, Mataji, firstly, very sorry to hear the loss of your father and your husband, and I can really understand that what it is meant to have the loss of your loved ones, and it must be a very great, burden at the moment for you. Of course, running the house and maintaining the family and children and everything. So, Mataji, what happens is when we come to Krishna consciousness, what happens when we are chanting very much sincerely? Okay, because the soul is also hankering for Krishna only. The soul is not hankering for anything else. The body might hanker for sense, objects and sense gratification and all these things. But the soul is hankering only for Krishna. So now, wherever your father has gone, to whichever destination he's gone, or your husband has gone to whichever destination he has gone, over there, what happens is that there is a universal, you can say, ream Now, when you're offering something to your Pitrus, it is getting accepted through the Supreme Lord. It is not getting directly, accepted. But when you are saying that, when my father expired, then, everything has gone for a toss. We all are suffering miserably and things are not going our way. So in the Shastras, it is written that when a particular person takes the shelter of the Supreme Lord, now the Supreme Lord will take care of that particular person's well-being. What we need to do is we just need to surrender to the Supreme Lord completely. The root cause of misery is only this, that we have not sufficiently surrendered to the Supreme Lord, or even are not even trying to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So when a Jivatma or a living entity tries to surrender to the Supreme Lord genuinely by chanting, by reading, preaching, by thinking about Krishna all the time, then at that point of time, the so-called misery, you were there in the last class?
Last Saturday, na?
Yeah, you were there in the last class?
Yeah, I was there, but my connection was very bad, Mataji, last week.
Okay, in the last I had given one shloka. You remember that shloka?
No, that's what I said, Mataji. You are talking about last Saturday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. My connection was very, very bad last Saturday.
yeah. So I will read the shloka.
Hmm.
It should enlighten everybody. We had read the shloka again. And this is one
Okay.
of my favorite shlokas also.
Okay, Mataji.
I think in general, Google Chrome has a problem. Yeah.
Mataji, you can tell us the shloka number. We'll look in
10,
the books.
14, 8.
Which is it, Mataji?
10, 14, 8.
10, 14, 8.
Okay, here it is. So it says that Tattenukampa susamikshmano bhunjane vatma kritam vipakam Ridvagavapubhi vidadhan namaste jivet yo mukti pade sadaya bhav. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful heir claim. So, now what is Prabhupada saying in this? So, Prabhupada is saying that a devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does the devotee become his enemy's enemy also. He thinks that this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is better to suffer than to protest. Many times the people, when they're suffering, they protest. मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों हुआ है? मैंने क्या किया है भगवान का? क्या बिगाड़ा है मैंने भगवान का? So, Bhagavatam is saying that Tattenu Kampa. Whenever a devotee is in distress, he has fallen into difficulty. He thinks that the Lord, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far greater than I'm suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting any punishment I am due. I'm just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, okay, I have not shared this. I'm sorry. I beg apologies. So he's saying that Thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far greater than I am suffering now. So it's by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. So for example, somebody was, because of his past misdeeds, because he has done something to somebody, his hand was supposed to be cut, but he's just getting a token punishment. I'm just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Lord because I'm surrendered to him. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. So, Prabhupada is saying that the purport of this verse is that when a devotee is in a calamitous condition, he takes it as a benediction of the Supreme Lord and takes responsibility himself for his past misdeeds. In such a condition, he offers still more devotional service and is not disturbed. So calamities come, he surrenders. More calamities come, he surrenders more. More calamities come, he surrenders more and more. So one who lives in such a disposition of mind, engaged in devotional service, is the most eligible candidate for promotion to the spiritual world. So when a devotee is put into such an awkward position, then he takes it as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So this is what Prabhupada is actually saying, that here he's saying that he is never angry with his master. There are many people, non-devotees, they become very angry with Krishna. Kya mere saath hi kyun kiya? Main hi kyun? He is always satisfied with the position of his master offers. In any case, he continues performing his duty in devotional service. So he will not give up chanting, he will not give up offering food to the Lord, he will not stop preaching, he will not stop offering flowers to the Lord, he will not stop bowing down to the Lord, he will not stop worshipping the Lord. And then such a person is guaranteed promotion back to Godhead. This is what Prabhupada is actually saying. And Prabhupada here also says, he does not process, oh, I'm such a great devotee of Krishna, why have I been put into misery? Instead, he thinks, this is Krishna's mercy. Such an attitude is possible for a devotee who engages in the service of the Krishna's representative. That is the secret to success. So this is what, Krishna is telling in this particular verse. Of course, last time we just read, proper Prabhupada shlokas only. But in many purports, you see how many purports Prabhupada is saying Tatenu Kampa? Over here, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Canto 5, Canto 6, Canto 7, Canto 8. Every canto Prabhupada has given this. Such an important verse this is. So, even in Canto 10, of course, Canto 10, even in different chapters he's mentioning. Because this shloka comes in chapter number 14. But he's mentioning in chapter number 2 also. He's mentioning in chapter number 4 also. So, and he's mentioning in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Madhya Leela, Adi Leela, Ante Leela. Many other books also he's mentioning. Very important shloka. So, this is what is the answer to the question. Any more clarification on this answer, Mataji? What you are saying, you will definitely get the blessings through Krishna. If we are very much earnestly looking for the blessings of our ancestors, definitely. But for that, we have to be very much surrendered to the Supreme Lord. And whatever atrocities are there, through different people, through nature, whatever calamities I'm facing, then I have to patiently suffer, thinking that it is Krishna's mercy, because even Kunti Maharani in that matter, she says that, what is that shloka? In her praise, Vipada Santo Shachata. Kunti.
Yes, Mataji. I remember a reference of Kunti Mataji for the same thing. She's telling Krishna, give me more suffering, because the more the suffering, the more you are close to me.
Yeah.
And the more I remember you, and the more I get your darshan.
Yeah. So even
There was some
Maharaj-
kind of miscommunication by a senior devotee. I had told you, but that I will speak to you personally. I don't want to take
yeah,
this.
you speak to me
Yeah.
personally.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Yeah, so that means
Mm.
things are more clearer for you, and then
Yes.
you take things in a very positive way and you move
Yes,
ahead.
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Otherwise, sometimes what happens now, हम लोग past में बहुत जीते हैं. We live a lot in the past. Like I know one of my friends. Okay, she's not a devotee. She's yet to become a devotee. So she's living in the past only. And that is why, because she's living in the past, she's not able to accept her present tense also and future tense also. And if you see in the spiritual world has only present tense. So see, currently in the present tense, I'm very happy. Am I not happy? Yeah, I'm very happy. But the moment I think about my past and my future, then again, those tensions keep on popping. That is why in the spiritual world, there is only present tense. There is no past and there is no future tense. And all the living entities in the spiritual world are happy only, serving the Supreme Lord, making plans for him, making him the center of their life. In the spiritual world, they are living only for Krishna. They are living only to please Krishna. Their very existence in the spiritual world is that I want to only please Krishna, do or die situation. So that way. ठीक है ना ज्योति माता जी? Any more questions anybody has?
Mataji, Hare Krishna Dadapna.
Yeah, Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, I can hear you.
Mataji, apart from this Janma Mrityu Jaravradi, what are the other two changes which the material body takes? What are the two other changes? Like you said 6 changes the soul will not have, like material body.
6 changes, like, a little baby is born, then he grows to young age, then he grows to youth, then he actually, ages, then he goes to old age, then he dwindles, and then he passes away. That way, these are the 6 transformations. It is given in 2.16 or 17, somewhere in that purport it is given, Prabhu. The 6 types of transformations. It is given in one of the purports. Anybody else has any questions? I'm sorry, today my health is not too good, but I thought that last time, we had just taken 1 hour and I needed to compensate on that particular part also. So, but we did not rush. We have covered everything. So I don't like to rush. Even if it takes another 2-3 months extra for this particular course, how does that matter?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Sucharita.
Mataji, I want to ask you a question like regarding this soul part. Like suppose sometimes we do grafting of plants, right? So suppose we put suppose on a rose plant. Suppose the white rose plant, we put a pink rose plant so that we put a new bark of this stem of suppose pink rose and a white. So then a new tree comes. So it's a new soul, or is it the same soul?
It's actually a new soul only altogether when you're grafting, because 2 things you are grafting together. It's like, but it is an ever existing soul. Huh? It's not like that एक नया soul उत्पन्न हुआ है or a new soul has come into existence. No, the soul is old soul only.
Okay.
It was there, previously. It was existing and it is existing. It will exist now also in that plant.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any more questions?
Mataji, I have a question based on the question of Sucharita Mataji. Now
Yes.
that you told that it is a new soul as well as it is the same old soul. Now when you do grafting, the place from where the new portion of the plant comes, that remains alive. The bottom portion slowly, as you said, dwindles away. There won't be any more branches coming out of that portion. So how do we accept, Mataji, that
So,
it is
Prabhuji,
the same soul?
please repeat your question. I just did not get that.
Mataji's question was, when you do grafting in, say, a blue rose, and in that we put a pink one. So naturally pink, from that newly grafted portion, the leaves and twigs, all this thing will come and pink flower will come. But over a period of time, the bottom portion, it won't have any branches or any twigs or any leaves. That
Yes.
indicates it is no more having soul, or its body is finished. So
It's Prabhuji exactly like this. If you see, in one body, there are two souls coming up. Like, for example, when somebody, somebody dies and, that soul enters into another body. But, in one only body, there are two souls existing. If you see how, that particular person starts behaving very erratically, the voice changes of that particular person, and even the earth, wherever that in that house that person is there, that earth also becomes very heavy. When you're walking, you can feel there is some bad omen also. So exactly, when this particular person is entering into another body, then it is overtaking the angel, because this this soul that just died untimely, or sorry, this body that has died untimely, it is finding its what do you say, sense gratification. It wants to enjoy in the body. The soul can enjoy only in the body and fulfill his desires through a particular body, right? So now with this plants, what is happening is that it is in a very subtle form, because in a very subtle consciousness the plants are. But what happens is that when these two plants are grafted, another soul is actually being this, because this particular blue flower and this yellow flower, they have lost their existence, but a new existence has been formed in the form of a another flower, with the combination of two colors. That is what Sucharita was asking. So a new soul is there into that particular plant, Prabhuji. That is Krishna's what you say, inconceivable this, that but we should not be doing all these. We should accept, okay, rose, Krishna has created a red rose, we accept a red rose, and Krishna has created a white rose, we accept that, rather than grafting it into something else in that way. Sushil Prabhu, does that answer your question?
yes, Mataji, I'm convinced. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. 6 kinds of transformation given in 2.20. Lakshminarayan Prabhu, you can just mark that 2.20, 6 types of transformation. It's in there in Prabhupada's pulpit.
Okay, Mataji. Mataji, one more question.
Yeah, Prabhu.
You said at the time of annihilation, all the spirit souls will go back into Lord Vishnu. And what about the souls which have not followed the regulatory principles, like they have committed sins and all? Still, they have to go back to Vishnu.
Yeah. Everybody will be, all the living entities will be lying in Vishnu. And then they will resume their journey from there again when there is creation. So it is not like that they are liberated when they enter into Vishnu. They still have to go through their own past misdeeds, and whatever they have to suffer or whatever their desires are there, still they will fulfill by taking newer bodies. So then he will start from a point where he left. Whenever there is annihilation, he'll again start from a point where he has left from, and he'll continue from that, life that way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, dear devotee. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.